Hello and welcome to my channel, Yoga with Julia Wylie. My name is Julia. I'm very passionate about helping people with their wellness and their health goals through the medium of yoga and meditation. Now today's class we're going to be dealing with a very common situation, which is back pain. This is not for anyone who has very serious injuries, but there's many of us who suffer from that nagging back pain and stiff aching back in the mornings. And this can often be caused by having tight hips, glutes or hamstrings, or by not having a very strong core. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So this is a very gentle class. It's suitable for beginners. Now do listen to your body, by which I mean pay attention to if something feels painful, in which case don't do it, or back off. Stop if anything hurts or doesn't feel right for your particular body. So this should feel really good. Breathe through the poses, take it slowly and enjoy the class. Try it a few times a week and see if it helps reduce your back pain. Let me know in the comments below. Now before we go any further, please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And also don't forget to click on the little bell symbol at the side. This is how you'll get notified when I come out with my new videos. Some people have pressed the subscribe button but still don't get the notification, so please don't forget to do that. Now we're going to start off sitting with a nice straight spine, legs crossed if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, anyway, that does feel comfortable. Now slide your left hand out to the side. I do the opposite, so it's like looking in a mirror. Take your right hand up to the ceiling, pull it back and really lengthen. So you can feel a stretch all the way down the right side of the body here. Sink into it and breathe. So always make the breath the priority, meaning that if it's getting short and choppy, you're probably pushing too far into the pose. So just back off a little bit and find what works for you. Now take that right hand onto your knee, other hand behind, sit up nice and tall, and then as you next exhale, press into a twist. So it's like you're wringing out the whole spine. So make sure you're sitting up nice and tall first before you press into the twist. We always lengthen before we bend or twist in yoga. And then just for the upper back and the neck, turn your head around to look out over this front shoulder. It should feel really good. And let's do the other side. So sliding your right hand out, take the left hand to the ceiling, reach up, pull it back. Enjoy that lovely stretch and then lean into it. You can take the gaze up towards the ceiling if that feels comfortable for your neck, or else just look wherever it does feel comfortable. Deep breathing, and then bring your left hand on the knee and your other hand behind, sit up tall, inhale, and as you exhale, press into the twist, looking behind. And then bring your head around to look over the front shoulder. And gently release. Give yourself a little bit of a shake out. Well done. And then we'll come over onto hands and knees. This is called the tabletop pose. So your back is like a tabletop, nice and straight. Have your tummy in firmly. Now hollow the spine. So you lift your hips. You press forward through your shoulders, lifting the chest, looking up towards the ceiling. So your spine is hollowed out here. Have a big inhale, and then as you exhale, let's come into a cat curl. So you tuck the tailbone under, the chin comes into your chest, press the belly button up towards the back of your spine, and let's go back and forth working with the breath. Inhaling into wolf, some people call this cow pose. Exhaling into the cat. Inhale again into wolf, looking up. And last time, come into that cat curl, press into it and bring your spine back to neutral. And now look behind you to the right, pressing the shoulder towards your hip for puppy dog pose. Like a puppy dog looking back to see his tail. And then take it around to the other side. So I'm looking to if you're looking to your left, you should feel a stretch down the right side here. And even a lovely stretch on the neck as you're looking back. Let's look around again to the first side, pressing into it, and around to the other side. And release. Now for threading the needle pose. This is a great one for the upper back in particular. If you take your left hand and thread it through between the right hand and the knee and come down as far as you can, if possible, all the way down so that you're resting on the floor with your shoulder and your head. Now slide this right hand back a little closer towards your face so you can press gently into the floor and look up towards the ceiling, enjoying that lovely stretch. Breathe. And we'll do the other side. So take your right hand, thread it through between the left hand and the knee, and again come down as far as you can onto the floor if possible. Slide your left hand bit back in front of your face, press into the mat and look up. And ease yourself back up. I hope that feels good. Now we're going to go into some spinal balancing. So take out your left hand and your right leg, so the opposite arm to the leg. Now squeeze your buttock tightly, but then lift that back leg up nice and high. So you're not letting your back arch. You're tucking that tailbone under. So you won't be able to get your leg quite as high as if you did let your back arch. But hold it here. And we'll swap over to the other side. So taking out your left leg and your right arm. Again, squeeze the buttock, keep your back straight. The hip is tucked under, but lift that leg as high as you can. Hold it here. And release. Now take your hips back towards your heels. Your hips might reach your heels. Mine won't go further than that. Walk your hands out in front and let your head rest down and take a breath. This is a great pose to come to anytime you want to relax during yoga class, if it gets a bit much. And by having our legs tucked underneath us, it's a lovely stretch for the lower back. Now we're going to go into downward facing dog. So come back up into that tabletop pose. Tuck your toes under and then press the hips up to the ceiling. Either go straight up this way or else take your hips back first and then lift the hips up. It's a little bit easier. And pedal your legs, bending one knee at a time, pressing the heels down towards the mat. And then you can even move side to side, whatever feels good in this pose. Stretching out the back. Stretching out the legs. And then press both heels towards the mat. It doesn't matter if they don't reach the mat. Keep pushing the mat away with your fingertips. You're pushing backwards and your head relaxes down. Make sure your weight is not all on your wrists or you'll get very sore wrists very quickly. Have the weight divided up between your whole hands and your fingers. Your fingers are active, pressing into the mat. And then bend your knees, walk your feet up to your hands. Have your legs together and slowly roll yourself all the way up to standing. So as you come up, let the tailbone tuck under, belly is in, but lifted so it's nice and long. Roll the shoulders up, back and down. Now bring your hands into the namaste position at your heart center and just find your balance here between the left and the right side of the body, between the front and the back. And imagine a string lifting you up through the crown of the head. So you feel like you're pushing your feet down and stretching up through your head. Now keep all that length in the body. Reach your arms up overhead, stretch long, and then come to a flat back. So your legs are straight and your back is reaching out nice and long. Back of the hands pressing up towards the ceiling, and then let yourself round down. The knees can bend very slightly here and come into a forward fold. This is also great just for stretching and lengthening out the back, using our body weight as a kind of attraction here. Getting space in between the vertebrae. And then slowly let yourself roll all the way back up to standing again. And take a big step back with your right leg. Nice wide stance. You want your front foot facing the front of the mat and your back foot is in about 45 degrees if you can. Having the foot pressing firmly into the floor. Bring your arms out and stretch nice and long. And then reach forwards, letting your hip go out to the right. Come down to triangle pose. So keeping that front knee straight. Now don't bend it. Come to wherever you can down this leg. If you find the knee bending, don't come down so low. Take your other hand up towards the ceiling. And wherever you get to, you're working on tucking this left hip under and opening it up. This is one cause of back pain, is having inflexible hips. So really working on opening this up. Reach up with that top arm and don't forget to breathe. And then look down at your front foot. Now keep all the length in the spine, working the muscles as you come up slowly to standing again. Well done. Bring your hands onto your hips and turn them around to face that front foot, your left foot, as much as they'll go. They may not go all the way around. Bend the front knee down. You might even want to adjust that back heel, taking it back a little bit further. If you're on too much of a tightrope, take your stance a little bit wider as well. That can also help. Take your arms up overhead, pull back. Look up between your fingers if you can. Sink into that front leg, back leg stays strong. So you should again feel that pull here. So we're stretching out the front of the thigh. And then we're going to take it into warrior two. So bring the arms out and your hips this time come around more to face the side. Now this knee tends to want to flop in towards the big toe side, so use your leg strength to push it out. Sink down into that front leg, making sure the knee is not over the toes. If it is, scoot the foot a little bit wider. Proud warrior two pose. So we're working every inch of the body here, leaning into that front leg. Back leg is strong, pressing the little toe side into the mat. Arms reach out and the body is nice and long. And we'll do that all again on the other side. So bring your feet around to face the other way. Right foot faces out to the side of the mat and your left foot in about 45 degrees. Bring your arms up, stretch yourself forwards and come down to triangle on the other side. So again, don't press directly on the knee, but apart from that, your hand can be on the thigh, on the shin, or on the ankle, depending on your flexibility. But if your knee starts bending, don't come down so low. And more important than where this hand gets to is bringing the shoulder around. You're trying to stack it above the other shoulder, so you're all in one straight line here as much as possible. Again, with the hips, tucking the left hip under, tucking your right hip under, and your left hip opens up towards the ceiling. And then look down at the foot on the floor. This helps with balance and bring yourself up really slowly with control. Well done. We'll do the warrior one pose. So twist the hips around to face that right foot. You might want to bring the stance a little bit so that your legs aren't on quite such a tight rope. Bend down into that front knee. Again, if the knee is over the toes, take your stance a little bit wider. Bring the arms up, pull them back, sink into the front leg, strong back leg, and you're gazing up between your fingers to the ceiling if you want to work on your balance here as well. Full body yoga pose. And then we'll take it to warrior two. Arms come out to the sides, hips rotate, opening up. Again, this knee is going to want to flop in. So use your leg strength, pull it out, working on the flexibility on the hips and on the thighs. The gaze is out over your right middle finger. And breathe. And bring yourself back up again. Well done. Let's step back up again, up to the front of the mat, hands into Namaste. Then reach your arms up, lengthening, pressing the feet into the mat. Come down to a flat back, like we did earlier. The back of the hands press upwards, lengthen out through the crown of the head, nice straight back. And then let yourself round over, the knees can bend slightly. Back into that lovely ragdoll forward fold pose. And take a breath here. And then bring your hands to the floor, bend your knees more if you have to. Walk yourself back again into downward facing dog. Now I see a lot of downward facing dogs as something like this. You don't want to be that far away. Just look where my body position is here, just approximately. That's the distance. I can't give you an exact distance, depends on your body measurements and height. But press back into it. And breathe. And then lower yourself down onto your knees, bringing the feet flat. Come up, we're going to do a little gentle back bend. It's called the camel pose. You're going to push your hips forwards, letting yourself feel a stretch up the front of the thigh here. Lift up with the chest, you're lengthening the back, and let yourself drop back. Squeezing the shoulder blades back and the elbows towards each other. This is a real heart opening pose. Now if you find this quite easy, you want to take it further, you can come up with your heels raised. See if you can reach back and grab hold of the top of the heels, push your hips forwards and drop into this more advanced version of the camel pose. And if you still have space to go, you can even try it with your feet flat. Now you've got further to reach. So just listen to your body, take it to one of these 3 variations. So even in this pose, I'm pushing the hips forwards. And then to come up, bring your arms one in front of each other and then the other, hands onto the floor, and let's just round the spine into the cat curl as a counter pose, and then just press into any area that feels tight. And bring yourself back up onto your knees. Now take your left leg out in front of you and lunge into it. Now notice as I lunge, my hips drop forward and I come into a bit of a back bend. So what I'm going to try to do now is tuck the hip under, so I can't come down so far, but when I lean into it, I'm going to really feel that stretch, which is what we're looking for on the front of the thigh here, right up at the top of the hip. So feel that lovely stretch. Breathe into it. And we'll do the other side. So swap legs. You can hold onto the floor, hold onto furniture if you like to get that leg in front. Lean forward. So first of all, into a full relaxed lunge. Notice how my back is now curved here. Looks more impressive, but it's not doing as much of what we want. So we're going to take our hips back, tuck that tailbone under, and then lean forward. Now you can't go as far, but you should really feel the stretch on the top of your left thigh. So breathe into it. And release. Well then, now come down onto your tummy very gently. Now we're going to go into cobra pose. So have your hands underneath your shoulders, stretch forward first as if you were a snake about to come out of its den, and press yourself up. Perhaps you'll get to about here, depending on your flexibility of your back, which is extremely variant with different people, so don't judge. Push yourself up, but try to work every vertebra. So you're not just pressing up into one part of the back that's bending, but you're trying to work every single muscle, every single part of the back. Pulling yourself up, curling the spine. Breathe into it. And release. Take your hips back again into child's pose for a moment. And take a breath. Let go into it, relax. And bring yourself again forward, down onto your tummy, and we're going to do the Sphinx or the Seal. Now this is the Sphinx pose. Your hands are out in front of you, you're on your forearms, and you just stay here and relax. Now just let every muscle go. If you feel this in your lower back and it's a little bit uncomfortable, not really painful, but slightly uncomfortable, then that's completely fine. You might just want to stay here. If you feel like you like to do a little bit more, feel a bit more, come up on your hands and take the fingers out to the sides. This is called the seal pose, as you probably can guess why. So again, relax into it. Your shoulders will naturally flop up around your ears and breathe. This is a yin yoga pose. So whether you're doing the Sphinx or the seal, just relax into it. Let the body weight just flop forward and you can feel that stretch in the lower back. Breathe into it. Yin yoga poses tend to be held longer than traditional yoga poses. And then from here we're going to ease very, very slowly and gently back into child's pose. So walk yourself back, hips down towards your heels, and your hands can either stretch out in front of you, rest by either side of your head, or if you prefer, you can take your hands back and relax them near your feet. And relax. And then ease yourself back up to that tabletop pose and slide your right knee forward. Now slide your left leg back and see how that feels. If you have quite an intense stretch on your hip, this is your position. Otherwise, see if you can take your right foot around at a bit of an angle. Again, slide your left leg back and you should feel a stretch all the way up the hip here. Now don't let this hip come down to the mat. Keep them parallel to the ground. Stretch yourself forwards and then ease down, one hand at a time, and let your head relax down. The more you can relax into it, the more intense the stretch. Breathe into it. This is a great stretch for easing out the hip muscles, which can hold a lot of tension, sometimes even trauma. So just let it go. And slowly ease yourself up out of this pose, and we'll do the other side. So slide your left leg forward. Again, listen to your body. One side might not be the same as the other. So if you slide your right leg back first and see if that's enough of a stretch. If not, bring that leg forward again a little bit and take your left leg round in a little bit of an angle, more of an angle depending on how flexible your hips are, and making sure it doesn't bother your knee. If it does, either skip this pose or come back to having the lower leg underneath your thigh here. So stretch the right leg back, come forward with your chest and slowly down, one arm at a time. Let your head rest on your hands. Again, make sure your hips are square with your mat and breathe into it. Relax. And then slowly ease yourself up and come around to sitting. Bring the soles of your feet together, bringing the feet closer in towards the body, and press the knees out gently towards the floor. Now don't bounce them up and down because you don't want to overstretch the tendons. We do this very slowly in yoga, so we can really listen to the body and see where it's a good stretch but where it's not too much. So sit just body up nice and tall. Press the knees out towards the floor. Now people are very different in this pose. Some people's knees go right to the floor, no problem, and others are up here. It really doesn't matter. You're looking for that sensation of stretch, just to slowly, slowly increase your flexibility. And then we're going to come over onto our backs for the bridge pose. So ease yourself around. Lie down with your back flat and bring your feet up very close to your hips. And you want to keep your thighs parallel in this pose. Tuck your hips under, lift just your hips up first. You could just slide your hands underneath them. And then lift up the middle back. And then push yourself up as high as you can. So the knees don't splay out, they don't press together, they just stay parallel. Come as high as you can. All the weight is on your feet and on your shoulders.
And if you like, you can clasp your hands underneath you, wriggle the shoulder blades underneath the body and press the clasped hands down. Otherwise, just keep your hands on the floor and push them down into the mat. And then from here, release your hands, bring them up and clasp onto your elbows behind your head and start to walk your vertebra down, starting from your upper back to your middle back and then your lower back. So to do this, you have to really tuck the tailbone right underneath as you come down. Awareness in the spine. And when your back comes flat, bring your knees up, hug them in, and let yourself rock very gently side to side. We're going to go into some lying twists, which are great for easing out the lower back. So if you hug your left knee into the chest and let your right leg stretch gently out along the floor. Hug it in for a moment and breathe. And then bring your right hand to the outside of your left knee. Other hand is just out along the floor and gently press the knee over to the right and you look over to the left. Now try and keep that left shoulder down towards the mat or the carpet as much as possible. If it's up a little bit, it doesn't matter. And imagine sending air down into your lower back, easing out any tension. And then very slowly come back onto your back and hug in that left knee to your body again. And we'll do the other side. So swap over, hug in your right knee and stretch the left leg out along the floor. Take a breath here first and let it go. And then bringing your left hand on the outside of the knee, you can hook your foot on the back of the left knee, press the knee over to the side and look over to your right. So you see how my shoulder comes up off the mat a little bit here. That's perfectly normal, but you just work on keeping it down. So we're bringing out the spine and easing out any tension. And slowly come back onto your back again. Hug that knee in and bring the other one up. So both knees are hugged in. Just gently rock side to side. Try taking your knees further away from you and see how it's like having a little massage on your very lower back. And if you bring your knees closer to you and rock, it's more on the middle back. So if you have any area that feels tight, you can focus on that area. And then bring your right foot to the floor and bring the left foot over that thigh. Just gently press the knee out with your left hand. You might like to stay here if you want to take it further. See if you can reach up and grab around the back of your right thigh and lie back down. This increases the stretch. It's a little bit like the pigeon stretch that we just did a while ago. Stretching out the hip, piriformis muscle. If you like, you can also bring your left hand and gently press that left knee out to the side as well. And we'll swap over. So slowly take your right foot over the left thigh and gently press the knee out to the side. And if you want to take it further, reach up around your left thigh and lie back down, bringing that thigh in towards your body. So you should feel the stretch down the opposite thigh, the one with the knee across the thigh. And if you like, you can even press that knee out very gently to increase the stretch. And release. Now for the next pose, I'm going to use a strap. Now you don't need to have one, but if you want to pause the video and go and get one, you can do. Any belt or strap, or even perhaps the strap that goes around a dressing gown would do. Otherwise, don't worry, you don't need to have it. So you have one knee bent, bring your other foot up And if you're using the strap, bring the strap around the ball of the foot, so not right in the middle, but just underneath the toes. Hold the strap, straighten your leg out as much as you can. So your leg could be down here, depending on your body, your flexibility. And push up through the heel, bringing the leg up as much as it wants to go and pressing up, toes towards you. And then we'll do the other side. So release that leg, bend the knee and bring your other leg up. So either holding onto the leg somewhere or bring the strap around the foot. You could, of course, put the strap in first down here and then straighten your leg out. Longer strap if you need it, or shorter strap if you can. So just find what position works for you. Push up through the heels as the toes come towards you, the foot flexed. And release that. Hug both knees into the chest again and let yourself very gently rock again, side to side. And we're going to go into our final pose, the relaxation pose, Savasana. So very slowly stretch your legs out and have your hands a comfortable distance from your sides, palms facing the ceiling. Adjust your back anyway to make it feel comfortable. Close your eyes very gently and let your head rock side to side a couple of times. And then find a comfortable place on the back of your head to rest. We're going to take 3 breaths in through the nose and sigh out through the mouth. So inhale and exhale. Really let it go. Inhale again. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, imagine gathering all the tension together in your body. And as you exhale, let it go. Well done. So have your eyes gently closed, your jaw relaxed. Relax every muscle in your body. Feel as if you are floating on a cloud in the sky. As if the cloud was supporting your body very gently. You relax more and more. Take your arms above your head and stretch your body out long. Make one side longer than the other if you like. And then the other side longer. And both sides stretch. Open your eyes when you're ready. Bend your knees and roll over to one side. And very, very slowly and gently bring yourself up to sitting. Don't come up too far so you might feel a little dizzy. Namaste, everyone. Well done. Now, for those of you who don't know what Namaste means, it's a very beautiful Sanskrit greeting, and it roughly translates to the light inside of me recognizes and honors the light inside of you. So it's a very beautiful greeting. I hope you've enjoyed this class. I hope you've benefited from it and that your back will feel better. Try to do it about 3 times a week if you can to start off with and see how you get on. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I do read all the comments and answer to them all too. Let me know also any future videos you'd like me to make. As I mentioned earlier, please do subscribe and also click on the little bell symbol at the side of the subscribe button. This will let you know whenever I release my new videos, which I do every week. So I hope to see you soon. Namaste. Bye for now.